உள்ளதல துள்ள உணர்வு உள்ளதோ உள்ள பொருள் உள்ளல் அற உள்ளத்தே உள்ளதான் உள்ளம் எனும் உள்ள பொருள் உள்ளல் எவன் உள்ளத்தே உள்ளபடி உள்ளதே உள்ளல் உணர்வாயே. Namo Ramana. With Bhagavan's immense grace, we have been meditating on the verses contained in Ulladu Narpadu. We have moved to verse number 17. To bring it to context, it is in the Viveka portion of the work. The Viveka, Vichara and Anubhava are the three segments. We are slowly moving towards the light to be put on the Ishvara by Bhagavan. After the next three verses, Bhagavan is going to put some light on what God is. So, we are being taken towards that in some sense of progression too, which progression also will get merged in the self. But as we see from the jnana, ajnana to the individuality to the time and space to now, Bhagavan is taking up the concepts of body, world, fate and free will in the next three verses. How can the thought of body how can it be an expansion when compared to the previous verses? We will see as we go into the verse. The verse goes like this. உடல் நானே தன்னை உணர்ந்தார்க்கு உடலளவே நான் தன் உணரார்க்கு உடலுள்ளே தன்னுணர்ந்தார்க்கெல்லையற தான் ஒளிரும் நான் இதுவே இன்னவர்தம் வேதமென எண்ணுவான். Now, the next verse is on the world, and the verse following that is on fate and free will. But let's focus on this verse on Udal Nane. Udal Nane Tannai Unararkum Unarndarkum. That is one sentence. Udal Nane, Udal is body, Nane is I. Bhagavan has a place to stand because we are already human beings, it is. Because we already have some knowledge connections. So automatically we make meaning out of sentences. Not that the sentences have perfect grammar about them. So we'll find Bhagavan using the grammar, the grammatical gap to bring a new meaning to Udal Nane. Udal Nane is the body am I. The body am I. Unarark, Tannai Unarark, Unarndark. Tannai Unarark, for the one who has not realized the self, whom the Atmanubhava is not present. He has still identified with the Anatma, the body. For him also, the body is I. Tannai Unarark, the body is I. Tannai unarndarkum, the body is I, says Bhagavan. So the first sentence throws a puzzle at us, somewhat of a puzzle, that for both the one who has not turned his attention inward and merged that attention in the self-knowledge, also the body is I. For the one who, having realized the futility of search in the anatma, has turned that attention from outgoing nature to fix it in the self, and there abides as the self-luminous self. For him also the body is I, says Bhagavan. So, Udal nane tannai udararkum udardarkum. Udalave nan tan unararkum. So now the difference, though both of them use the same sentence, but the meaning is dramatically different. The meaning is quite the opposite pole. So to say, Udal alave nan tan unararkum. The I is limited to the contours of the body for the Ajnani. The body, of course, can be Stula, Sukshma, and Karana. But Udalallave nan tan unararaka. The I, the consciousness, is limited to the contours or the shape or the limits of the body as far as the Ajnani is concerned. So, Udalnane tannai udararkum unarndarkum. Udalallave nan tan unararkum. Though for both the one ignorant of the self and the one who is abiding in self-knowledge, the body is I. For the one who has not realized the self, the I, the consciousness, is limited to the extent of the body. Udal alave nan tan unararku. Udal ulle tan unarndarku. There Bhagavan includes some information which we will get reinforcement much later in the Vichara segment. Udal ulle tan unarndarku. Ingu kanda piragudan iruppadellam avanmayam. Slowly we are moving towards God. See that in these verses you will find that there won't be any references to science or to philosophers, because Bhagavan moves into his own territory from here. That this territory is uncharted by the normal science yet. It is uncharted to psychology, by psychology, or even philosophy. It is uncharted territory. But Bhagavan and Vedanta are still there for us to refer to, and I will be referring more to Bhagavan's talks to get the details about these verses from here on. Udalnane tannai unararkum unarndarkum. Udalallave nan tan unararku. Udal ulle tan unarndarku. For the one who has realized the self within the body, within the Stula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira and the I thought, within the I thought who has realized the self. Udal ulle tan unarndarku ellayara. The limits are off. We have seen in the very first verse that for the Ulla Unarvu, there are two meanings. Ulladala, Ulla Unarvu, Ullado. Ulladala, உள்ள உணர்வு உள்ளதோ, for that உள்ள உணர்வு we had seen 2 pointers. One is that unique ability of the jiva to know its own existence without the support of the mind or others. உள்ள உணர்வு. You ask anyone, do you exist? Directly you will get the answer, yes I do. And for that they don't need the support of even their own mind or the authority of the scriptures. So that ulla unarvu is one meaning for ulladala ulla unarvu. The other meaning of course refers to Ishvara, the Sat Chit. Ulla is Sat, unarvu is Chit. So ulladala ulla unarvu ullado, we saw that that single sentence, it takes us as far as the jiva is concerned to the sadhana that hold the ulla unarvu, as Bhagavan says in Aksharamanammalai, Nyamaliyil Keda Nanen Urudiyai Nadinin Uruven Arunachala. I will hold my ulla unarvu, for which I don't even need the support of other thoughts. Whenever other thoughts arise, I will not seek their support, but directly hold the ulla unarvu and come to your ulla unarvu. Nin uruven, what is Arunachala's uru? It is irundu olir, it is Sat Chit, ulla unarvu. So slowly we are moving in these verses towards that Sat Chit, and we will be finding 3 verses on that Sat Chit itself, what it means to experience or to know or to have darshan of Ishvara, the Sat Chit. But back to this verse, Udal Ulle Tan Unardarth. Udal Ulle, inside the form, for the one who has come to the ulla unarvu, the real existence, the real chitta. Ulla unarvu, that is the Ishvara's nature. One who has realized that also cannot remain apart from the self and is now abiding in the self. For them, all limits are off, because they don't need the support of the mind, which is the essential form of limitation of consciousness. First, the mind is the first limiting factor, and then the others, the emotions, the breath, the sensory. These are the other limits that we will find, or conditionings imposed on the consciousness when one is not self-aware. So, udal ulle தன்னுணர்ந்தார்க்கு எல்லையற, for the one who has realized the self within oneself, all limits are gone. The consciousness becomes unconditioned, becomes limitless. It is nirantaram bhasate swayam. The consciousness is completely independent of any conditionings. That is the state of the jnani. Udal ulle tannunarndarku ellayara taanolirum naan. I have kept the taanolirum naan separate because it gives us, in sadhana, it gives us a big clue to abide in the self. The nature of the self is self-luminous. It is shining by itself. So when the jnani is saying, I am the body, what is he referring to? It is not from here to there, that the I is limited to the body. No, it is that the body too is the limitless self. This body too is the limitless self. Let us put them together, then go ahead with some look into the details of this verse. Let's put the verse together. Udal nane, the body is I, for the one who has not realized the self, as well as for the one who is self-realized. The I, the consciousness, is limited to the extent of the body to the ajnani, to the one who has not realized the self. Whereas for the one who has realized the self within, the I is limitless, is self-luminous. Therefore, the first statement when he makes, the body am I, he is only referring that this body too is only the self-luminous self. It can't be anything else. Is the meaning of the verse. Let's go step by step to get more clarity about this verse. Any questions so far? If there is any question, you can raise it now about the verse. Now let's go into the discussion about the verse. There is an Upanishad called as Sharirika Upanishad. It is the Upanishad number 62 in the 100 Upanishads referred by Sri Rama to Anjaneya Swami, it is said, and it is present in Krishna Yajurveda. This is the Sharirika Upanishad, gives us a view of how the Sharira itself, when we start meditating on it, can be made more and more expansive or inclusive till we come to the limitless. A bit of, it's a short Upanishad, about 18 or so verses, and it's a simple Upanishad, but I am not interested in the contents. I am interested in the chronology or the way in which the Upanishad moves. We will find a similar movement in Bhagavad Gita also, once we find it in this Upanishad, that what the Upanishads refer to as body, it is very interesting. That the Upanishad begins by saying that this body is made of the 5 elements. It ends by saying that the body is made of 8 elements. The Ashtamurti Brid Deva Pujanam. It ends by referring to the waking, the dream, the deep sleep, and the Turiya Avastha. In between, the senses are raised, the mind is raised, then the gunas are raised, and then the 3 avasthas are raised and discussed. What does this indicate? This indicates that as the consciousness within starts the enquiry and starts the Atma Vicharam, then we find that the body is more and more inclusive. The subtle body is associated with. Then we start identifying with that I, which is present in all the 3 states. When Bhagavan repeatedly tells us that you are the one present in waking, dream, and deep sleep, who is that I he is referring to? Obviously not Nandakumar, who was feeling constrained by a small set of circumstances in his life, faced by him apparently alone, without any help, and struggling with those things, not knowing what to do. From there, the enquiry in Sharirika Upanishad, and when we do Atma Vicharam, the body, it starts changing, that we start identifying with the more common lot, that which is common to all. We can easily see that in our journey with friends. Initially, when we meet friends, we would have associated them with the physical body. then the friendship expands to include the times in which they have been dharmic and they have helped and they have done something good. Then it increases and sees how their consciousness is really that consciousness which is present in waking, dream and deep sleep. And they are really not that body. What is the body? The sharirika. The sharira increases to include the whole world. In fact, the world is not merely the waking state world. The worlds that can be present in waking, dream and deep sleep, all the three states are included in sharira. So when we are discussing the next verse, we will find a very happy overlap with this verse that Udalandri Undo Ulagam. Actually, the verse which we were beginning as verse number 5, that is there a world apart from the body? Slowly what happens is that the identification of the consciousness expands from the gross body to the subtler concepts, and those subtler concepts it starts identifying with all. It doesn't claim any peculiar ownership over that. Then that body it starts expanding till one comes to the Ajnanamaya Kosha or the Anandamaya Kosha, where the happiness is enjoyed or the experiences are enjoyed and the vasanas are present to push. That Sharira, the Karana Sharira, is also crossed by inquiry. So we find that from Stula Sharira, there is an expansion till Sharira includes all the three avasthas of waking, dream and deep sleep. And in talks, we will find Bhagavan directly identifying the Jiva who is feeling trapped under some circumstances to that which is present in all the three states. He will directly tell in deep sleep, you were there where these problems present. In that world where you were there was no this world at all. You are present, but the problem is not present. So your existence, your ulla unarvu, though it is found within, it transcends that world. That world itself will pass, but you will exist, hold your existence, says Bhagavan. Tannulle tannunardark ellayara. That is how we will find that the body itself, it changes shape to include all the three avasthas. But even there, we are not the body. Even the three avasthas are not we. But who am I for whom the waking, dream and deep sleep is there? The self-luminous self, it transcends that body also. If we take that as the body of the Ishvara, that also is transcended by the Brahmastram of Atmavichara or self-attention. That is a brief look at the overall picture of body, world, how Vedanta and how Bhagavan take us through. Let us zoom in and see how this translates into a discussion by Bhagavan with a Swamiji from Ramakrishna Ashram, Swami Lokeshananda. There are about 4 talks that are dedicated to this Swamiji. When we want to look at the Dehatma Buddhi, the body am I, how the Ajnani and the Jnani, how they take, we can go through these talks. If you go to the index, you will have about 3-4 talks, all given to Swami Lokeshananda ji. He has specifically directed these questions to Bhagavan. I will go directly to one question on karma and then to our question, Dehatma Buddhi. Just be patient with me when I go through the karma theory with the Swamiji. Brief look at the situation is that he is one who is a sannyasi and he has done that Dehatyaga and taken the sannyasa Diksha, and for such a one these doubts are there. So where Bhagavan is taking us, we should have a feeling that Bhagavan is taking us beyond the sannyasa marga. The sannyasa diksha is included in whatever may be the prarabdha. Whatever is to be done by a sannyasi is to be done by an atmavichari automatically without seeking any change in the bodily label. That is the suggestion I want to give in these talks, where Swami Lokeshananda has asked some very basic doubts about Dehatma Buddhi, but it helps put some light on this particular verse. So give me some leeway with karma. Swami Lokeshananda, a sannyasi, asked Bhagavan, is there prarabdha for a Jivan Mukta? Bhagavan, who is the questioner? From whom does the question proceed? Is it a Jivan Mukta who is asking? So for Jivan Mukta, Tanunarndarku, Ellayara, Tanoliram, everything is only the limitless self. There is no need for definition of prarabdha, what prarabdha does or otherwise for the jnani. But devotee says, Lokeshanandaji says, no, I am not a mukta yet, Maharishi. Then why not let the mukta ask the questions for himself? Devotee, the doubt is for me. Bhagavan, quite so. The ajnani has doubt, but not the jnani. So the ajnani, though he is a sannyasi, is identifying with the buddhi, the vijnanamaya kosha, which is full of doubts and relative clarity. Some answers it will contain, but all those answers are also doubtable. So we can clearly say the vijnanamaya kosha is full of doubts. So for such a one who is identified with the vijnanamaya kosha, when he says I am the body, he is referring to I am the one who is the doubter and full of doubts. So the doubt is for me. Bhagavan, quite so. The ajnani has doubt, but not the jnani. Devotee, according to the creed that there is no creation, Ajatavada, the explanations of Sri Bhagavan are faultless, but are they admissible in other schools? So he asks whether Bhagavan has karma, and Bhagavan goes to that. Karma is posited as past karma, etc. Prarabdha, Agami and Sanchita. There must be kartrutva, doership, and karta, doer for it. Karma, action, cannot be for the body because the body is insentient. It is only so long as Dehatma Buddhi, I am the body, lasts, that karma exists. In the absence of the idea of Dehatma Buddhi, there cannot be either kartrutva or karta. So a jnani has no karma. That is his experience. Otherwise, he is not a jnani. Then comes how the ajnani looks at the jnani. However, an ajnani identifies the jnani with his body, which the jnani does not do so. This elsewhere Bhagavan clarifies, this in Guru Vachaka Kovai, that ajnani does this because he has Dehatma Buddhi. When ajnani sees the jnani eating food or doing some activity, then he identifies the jnani with the body. He doesn't identify with the self-luminous self. That tan unarvu is lost, and because of his own anatma bhava, he identifies the jnani also as doing many things. However, the ajnani identifies the jnani with his body. The jnani does not do so. So the ajnani finds the jnani acting because his body is active, and therefore he asks if the jnani is not affected by prarabdha. Whereas the jnani doesn't need the support of these thoughts that all these are happening because of my prarabdha. No, the jnani's resting place is only the self-luminous self. He doesn't need the support of a thought to say that I have got this state because of prarabdha. I have got this state because of prarabdha. Those conditioning thoughts are not required and they are not the resting place allowed for the jnani or taken by the jnani as you would deem fit. Now come to Dehatma Buddhi specifically. This is the part of the talk where Lokesh and Anjali directly attacks Bhagavan in one sense. Devotee, is there no Dehatma Buddhi? I am the body idea for the jnani. If, for instance, Shri Bhagavan be bitten by an insect, is there no sensation? Is there no Dehatma Buddhi? I am the body idea for the jnani. If, for instance, Shri Bhagavan be bitten by an insect, is there no sensation? This is the key part which I would like you to listen and practice. There is the sensation and there is also the Dehatma Buddhi. The latter is common to both jnani and ajnani, with this difference that the jnani thinks, the ajnani thinks, dehaiva atma, only the body is myself, whereas the jnani knows all is of the self. Atma mayam sarvam or sarvam kalvidam brahma, all this is Brahma. I will read that again. There is the sensation. There is the sensation and there is also the Dehatma Buddhi. The latter is common to both the jnani and the ajnani, with this difference that the ajnani thinks dehaiva atma, that is, I am limited to the extent of this body alone, whereas the jnani knows all is of the self, atmamayam sarvam or sarvam kalvidam brahma, all this is Brahman. That is, the identification with this Purana is so clear that even when the pain is recorded, the pain is part and parcel of the Purna. The Purna is this Purana that can stand alone, but even when the body is experiencing Dehatma Buddhi because of, let us say, the pain of something, Bhagavan says the insect bite or anything, that insect bite does not affect the Purnavastu. The Swayam Prakasha Atma is not touched by the insect bite. There was an incident, I think, is one of the girl children of one of the devotees. She is sitting in meditation in front of Bhagavan, and a very mischievous boy, probably of slightly lesser age than her, he takes to the prank of pinching her, coming and pinching her and running away, and again coming back and pinching her and running away. And one of the devotees takes compassion in her, and when she is responding to him, asks her in front of Bhagavan, why didn't you stop him from pinching you? Why didn't you stop the boy from pinching you? And the girl says, how can he pinch me? He can pinch only the body. He can never pinch me. And Bhagavan is said to have put his finger on his nose to show his astonishment at the accuracy with which the child is giving forth Bhagavan's teachings, that the Atma can never be touched by the Deha being touched by someone. The Dehatma Buddhi doesn't affect the Purnatva of the Atma. So that is the key part. I am just restricting myself to the one paragraph. I will read that paragraph again because it's a key difference and it is clearly pinpointed by Bhagavan here. Is there no Dehatma Buddhi, the I am the body idea for the Jnani? If, for instance, Sri Bhagavan be bitten by an insect, is there no sensation? There is the sensation, and there is also the Dehatma Buddhi. The latter, that is Dehatma Buddhi, is common to both Jnani and Ajnani with this difference. The Ajnani thinks Dehaiva Atma. Only the body is myself. Whereas the Jnani knows all is of the self. Atmaiva Sarvam or Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is Brahma. If there be pain, let it be. It is also part of the self. The self is Purna. The self is Purna Vastu, is the teaching of Bhagavan. Then he goes ahead and tries to describe the same thing in less difficult statements, but they include the descriptions of Anatma. So I am not going into that. Let us get back to the verse. He uses the words like Bhoga Hetu Karma, not Bandha Hetu Karma and all that. But that is not required for this verse. Those supports themselves become a bondage if we take them. In view of this verse, they are not required. So let us go back to the verse again. The verse is Udal Nane Tannai Unararkum Unarndarkum Udalave Nan Tan Unararku Udalulle Tan Unarndarku Yellera Tan Olirum Nan Iduve Innavardam Bedamena Yen. This is the difference between the Ajnani and the Jnani, says Bhagavan. But it is so clear. The one additional concept we have taken is the connection with the next verse where we are going to deal with the world. I was trying to bring it in that the view of Vedanta is that as we start with the Sthula Sharira and go into the inquiry, the expanse of the body itself will come up to the state of waking, dream, deep sleep and Turiya. The Turiya Avastha, they are themselves considered as body and we are the Atma within that body. Now let us take a view of what we exactly do in Atma Vicharam and how this expansion can be seen, how this expansion of the body can be seen in the Sukshma. The practice of Atma Vicharam is known to us that whenever a thought arises, Bhagavan says that let the thought go and inquire for whom is this thought. The answer will be the thought is for me, hold who am I. That is, going back to the first verse, the Mangala Shloka, Bhagavan is asking us to hold the Ulla Unarvu. The Ulla Unarvu for which we don't need the validation or support from another. So, in one sense, what are we holding? When we get a thought, let us say, of time. Because in the previous verses, we have seen Namandri Naledu Nadedu, we have seen. Namandri Naledu Nadedu. The two concepts of time and space Bhagavan had introduced to us. Now when we do Atma Vicharam with that when the concept of time comes, we don't move with the scientists and think in terms of some scientific terms explaining how the time moves forward. Those things we are not going to do. But as soon as the thought of time comes, we are going to ask, for whom is this thought? This thought is for me. Who am I? What are we exactly doing? Each thought, since it is present within us, that it is permeated by the Ulla Unarvu. So the inessential parts of those thoughts we are living, and the Ulla Unarvu alone we are taking and holding. Let me go back and repeat this. I used to tell that I used to discuss these verses with my mother and the assistant before coming here. And when a thought arises, let us say about another person, like my elder brother or someone, when Bhagavan is asking, let go of that thought and hold the Ulla Unarvu, then what is Bhagavan asking us to do? Like I had shared earlier, in friendships, we first see the person as, because of our own physicality of approach, we see the person as a physically handsome person or otherwise and all that. Slowly we graduate to the ability to have compassion, to show friendship, to have love. Then in what quality he embraces, whether he has conflict with some other groups, or he's going for the underlying connecting energy. So these are the things we, let us say, as we mature, we see in the other. Bhagavan is asking us to go for the essence, the Ulla Unarvu in the other. Bhagavan says, this Ulla Unarvu is present in everyone. That is their essential nature. Ulla Unarvu, we saw, is Sat Chit. So in everyone, the Sat Chit is there. That is their essential nature. In time also, Sat Chit is there. That is its essential nature. To catch hold of its essential nature, what you have to do? You have to hold your own Ulla Unarvu. So what we do is that when we get a thought, we are holding the essential part of that thought and letting go of the anatma, that which requires support from the mind, we are letting it go. So by holding on to the Ulla Unarvu, we are, as Bhagavan says in the often quoted verse by us, Hariyaditara Jivara Ahavarisa Guhayil Arivairami Paramatma Arunachala Ramana. That existence consciousness within Hari Adhitara Jivara. Let us say that time is given the name Yama, and that is an entity, that is a persona. Within that also the Ulla Unarvu, Hari Adhitara Jivara Ahavarisa Guhail. Within the eye of that, the Ulla Unarvu which is there, that is what Bhagavan is asking us to hold. So that is how the Sharirika Upanishad, how it expands the scope. It begins with the Stula Sharira, but then slowly it moves to the Indriyas. And it defines how the Sharira itself is made of Panchabhutas, Udal Panchakosha Uruvadanal. So it relates with this, with the universe. So when we are investigating what is the I, the Ulla Unarvu within this, the Ulla Unarvu within all the Panchabhutas also we are holding. So when we do the Atma Vichara with this understanding, that when we are letting go of a thought, we are letting go of its inessential anatmic parts, and we are holding only its essential Atma Swarupa. By holding on to our own Atma Swarupa, we are holding on to the Bhagavan within each Jiva. Let us say I get the thought of someone related to me. What is Bhagavan asking me to do? When he said let go of that thought, by asking for whom is this thought? The thought is for me. Who am I? He is asking me to hold that which is the essential Swarupa of that person and me. That is how, when the first person dismantles himself, the second person and third person also get dismantled, and the Atma Swarupa alone shines. When the past, present, future get dismantled, when we inquire into the truth of the present, in the present moment, then the whole of time dismantles itself and the Atma Swarupa shines. That was the next verse. Namandri Naledu Nadedu. It took us to the time and place. All the anatma nature in the time and place are to be let go of, and only the Ulla Unarvu is held. That is the nature of the I within them. So hold that. So time becomes one body, place becomes one body. I am not that body. I am the self-luminous self. I am the self-luminous self within time, within space. And the moment I hold self-attention, Ella Yara, The time vanishes, the body of time vanishes, the body called space vanishes, and only the Swaprakasha Atma is there. That is where he brings Udal Nane. Udal, he is not referred merely to the Stula Sharira. Whatever form we have moved in our meditations, that is an Udal. And the Ulla Udarvu is limitless. The Ulla Udarvu within is limitless. The whole of time may be a Udal, but that entire time is dismantled in the self-luminous self. The entire concept of space is dismantled in the self-luminous self. Tannunarndarku ellayara thanolirum nan. What is time? It is the self-luminous self. What is space? It is the self-luminous self. What is the insect bite? It is the self-luminous self. What is the Dehatma Buddhi? It is the self-luminous self. Self-luminous self alone is. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in Atma Vichara, holding the Ulla Unarvu for the next few minutes till 8 o'clock, when we will have a car summarizing the verse. Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Prostrations to Ramana. Shining is the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, in this satsang, we are meditating on the verses of Ulladu Narpadu. And in this verse, Nandakumarji has brought out to us very simply, very beautifully, the difference in the experience between the one who is a jnani and the one who is an ajnani, as delineated by Bhagavan, especially in this verse with reference to the experience of the body. One very beautiful aspect is the conversation, and which he read out from the talks, wherein Bhagavan points out that it is the ajnani's curiosity about the jnani. We are worried, what is the state of jnana? What is the experience of a jnani? Does the jnani have a body or does the jnani not have a body? Let the jnani ask that question, says Bhagavan. That is his first answer. But then afterwards, out of his compassion, he does explain that the jnani is, for the jnani, the self is all enveloping. Now, why this explanation from Bhagavan? It is as an inspiration for us to move towards that anubhava. Really speaking, when we ask ourselves the question, who am I? At that point, the body identity will cease. For every sadhaka also, there will be no body identity at that point of time. So in the Atmanubhava, where is the body identity? For the jnani or the ajnani, it is not there. But when we talk of it from the relative perspective, this entire question, this entire verse is meant because we have many doubts, we have many worries. Actually, we are worried what will happen to this body, what will happen to the world. Very many seekers ask, what will happen to my capacity to act? Once, if I get self-knowledge, what will happen to my capacity to act? So will I lose my control over the body? Will I have a sense of having a body? And also, from the perspective of being limited, I see another limited being, as Nandakumarji said. I seem to see Bhagavan walking, talking. I seem to see the jnanis doing all the activities that I am doing. How are they different from me? This is a sort of a curiosity, perhaps, a need to understand that state in order to experience it. If that is the case, then it is all right. But I do remember that one of the devotees had written to S.S. Kohanji and he shared it with us. And he wrote to S.S. Kohanji and he said that I do not know if there is any jnani in Ramanashramam today. Now after Bhagavan's Mahasamadhi, I do not know whether there is any jnani in Ramanashramam. Then Kohanji wrote back to him very, very strongly, you please do not go about counting who is a jnani and an ajnani. You please understand that state. But let me tell you, there are numberless jnanis here. So we cannot understand from the external behavior of a jnani whether that person is a jnani or not. This is said even in the Bhagavatam. The behavior of a jnani is not at all indicative of his inner state. A jnani may apparently get angry. A jnani may do any action. But then what is the difference? Bhagavan is saying, is that he is rooted in that awareness. Once he is aware that the body is not I and that all enveloping self includes the body. This is what Bhagavan says after his experience of enlightenment as a boy of 16. He says that I was established in that current which transcends and includes the body. The body is not excluded. The body anubhava is not excluded. And if we can see that expansive awareness of Bhagavan, when we see how he reacts when any other living being is hurt in any way. If a tree is being beaten by somebody for getting down the fruits, Bhagavan, it's as if he's experiencing the pain. Sitting in the hall, he's calling out, don't hit that tree. Don't do this to them. Don't hit that snake. Don't do it. Because that it is totally, that empathy is there. So it's all one within that consciousness. One of the lady devotees, a foreigner, she asks, Mercedes de Acosta, I think, she asks Bhagavan, Bhagavan, you say one consciousness, so do you mean to say that you, I, and my servant, all of us are one? Then Bhagavan says, you, your servant, I, and the monkey is there outside the window, we are all one in one consciousness. And she's surprised, probably a little disturbed by that answer. She says, but the monkeys are a different species altogether. How can they be one like us? See, that is not, the point is, Bhagavan says, all are one in one consciousness. All are included in that consciousness. Every wave is included in the sea. Every wave, some waves may be big, some waves may be small, some waves may be swirling around. They come in different shapes and sizes. But all the waves are one in the sea. So if one is the sea, we cannot explain it, but Bhagavan is sweet enough to explain it to the extent possible. That the body experience is also included. But it is understood that the self is not limited to the body. And when is this included? In whose perspective is it included? It is included in the perspective of the onlooker only, says Bhagavan. Very many times when asked about explanations regarding the jnani, he has said, and Ganeshananna also has shared it with me a few times, Bhagavan has said, these replies are from the perspective of the onlooker, meaning to say from the perspective of the ajnani only. For the ajnani, we say there is a jnani and there is an ajnani. The jnani does not even say there is a jnani and an ajnani. But Bhagavan is kind enough to give us these verses so that we understand the difference. And again, very beautifully Nandakumarji brought out today that the body, when we say body, the body may be any body, even kala, even time may be a body, even space may be a body. Because I know that Mrs. Lucia Osborne has recorded that she had an experience that she was the earth. She had the experience that she was the earth. It's a very different body from the human body. So the earth will have it'll have the mountains, it'll have the rivers, it'll have the living beings, all moving on it, all the breathing, living planet. And then she said that I could understand that this planet is breathing, living. This is earth. We call her Bhuma Devi. But again, that is a body. That is a limitation with which there is identification. Actually, it is said that you can even identify with being an universal. You can have a Virat Swarupa. But if you have a Swarupa, that is a body identity. And whatever that expanded body is, that will become the boundary of the body. Udayalava Nan. That is clearly explained to us today that when it is said that it is the ajnani thinks he is bound by the boundaries, those boundaries may be wide. Those boundaries may widen also. But it is a boundary, whereas the self is boundless. There is no boundary in the self, and everything is in the self. Bhagavan says in Ekanma Panchakam, Tannul Tanuvirukka. The body is in the self, but the Ajnani says the self is in the body. He says that the movie is the basis for the screen, he says. How is this possible? Everything is in the self. This, the Jnani is aware of this truth at all times. Sometimes, of course, he would be in that, as we have seen Bhagavan. Sometimes even when we look at the movie of Bhagavan, no, you can see he's sitting absolutely motionless. And Humphreys says, he's totally motionless. Even his eyes do not move. There is no movement. And we have Sheshadri Swami saying that Bhagavan's mind is also absolutely still. Humphreys, we are able to see the body, and then Humphreys says God is radiating terrifically from him. What is that God which they are able to see, experience in Bhagavan? That is that Atma Tattva. Whereas he is moving around in the body, all those who saw that body moving around, many of the devotees, they could feel that this body is moving around, but this is not Bhagavan. Bhagavan is that Shakti which is radiating terrifically from the body. That is the Atma Shakti in which he is abiding. All the time he was abiding. So Bhagavan, he is telling us this out of compassion, because we are so attached to the body. We want to know what will happen to it. Although Bhagavan again in his kindness tells us, see, you are losing it even in your sleep. Why do you worry about it? Why do you worry about this body? But since we are worried, since we want to come to equations or terms with jnana, with reference to what we know today, Bhagavan kindly says, yes, don't worry, the jnani also has body awareness. The jnani's awareness of the body is there. The jnani is perfectly natural. Jnani is completely natural, the most natural person. In fact, there is an incident of a young child asking Haridranath Chattopadhyaya, why are you calling this person Bhagavan? And he says, because he is the only one who is human. He is the only human person. He is only the human being. We are all not even human. So Bhagavan, totally natural, completely natural in every way, which means everything related to the body. Ganeshananda would say that even every kind of relationship, if somebody is a child, Bhagavan will treat them as a child. If somebody is an elder, Bhagavan will treat them as the elder. Not only the physical experiences of being bitten by the insects, but is it possible that such pain could be borne by one if there is the identification with the body? Doctors have come and just been wonderstruck during Bhagavan's sarcoma. They have said that a person should be screaming in pain. But here is Bhagavan with that same sweet smile, that same countenance, that same, or while lifting him out of Patala Lingam with that blood and pus and all oozing from his thighs, the one who records, he says, we thought it was sacrilege even to speak or say anything in his presence, in this presence. So how is it possible? How is it possible if one is identified only with the body? That is not possible. At the same time, Bhagavan has said there is pain. He has said it is like 1,000 elephants walking on his arm. He has said there is not one inch of the body where there is no pain. And all this he has said. Out of great compassion, he has revealed that it is something which gets submerged in that larger, that boundless perspective. And that, of course, is to be experienced, to be understood, to be truly understood. But a little bit, we can get a glimpse of it, and that is why the great ones come and live in front of us. That's why they bear the body for such a long time. Bhagavan bore the body, and so many of his devotees who are jnanis, they also continue to do that tasks which they have to do. They continue to remain in the body until that purpose destined by Ishvara is completed. Out of great compassion, they accept it. They accept. And again, Nandakumarji said, the pain is also accepted. It's just complete acceptance of everything. If you look at it from Ishvara surrender perspective, just total 100% acceptance of everything as included in the self. It is because, of course, of the power of that Anubhava. We are indeed so blessed, as Sadhu Om Swami says, Kondu Selvare Orudinam Nidaya Guhayil Ramana Gurunathan. One day he will take us also to that place where, which is the Bhagavad Gita says, it cannot be touched, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be wetted, it cannot be, nothing can be done to it. So it's that glorious state of the self. That includes everything in it. And it includes the natural movement of the body until the body, as Bhagavan says, until the body's purpose, whatever purpose was for the body by Ishvara, that purpose is served. No matter what the body is, whether it is, as was told to us today, subtle, causal, gross, small, huge, whether it's whatever the size, shape, whatever it is, whatever the dimensions of it, it is body. And we must understand that that is a boundary. That is a boundary. And we have to dive in, because there are methods of expansion also, that also Nandakumarji referred to, but we have to dive in and experience the self within ourselves, free of all the boundaries. Then only we can become established in the fact, in the awareness of the boundary being an illusion. This is where Bhagavan is taking us in every moment by moment, step by step, towards the total dissolution in that boundless bliss. Om Namo Bhagavate.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana to all. Thank you.